it to you now, since we're on the topic of issues in New York. What are your proudest achievements as a Garifuna activist and scholar? And what is the importance of academia-based activism?
Ooh, you hit a good one. You hit a good one. So I would say a couple of things come to mind. I think one of my biggest accomplishments thus far is the simplest one, right? I think bringing light to histories that are often overlooked is really important to me, right? I think it's important that there is a place now within the body of scholarship that talks about Garifuna, New York, right? That talks about this particular Black Indigenous community that, is small in numbers, but significant in its movement, right? And I think it's important to kind of acknowledge that as a moment of saying, hey, we've been here and this research is important. It's important to me, it's important to my community. I also don't think we could do this work objectively, right? I think this work is deeply necessary. I think this work is deeply rooted in activism. In fact, I would even, no academic work is ever free from subjectivity, right? But I think there's something about activist-based research that is vitally different from other things because it brings to light the voice of everyday folks, right? Everyday communities, right? And I think that history is really, really important. I think that matters a lot, but I don't think that's something that everybody does in the academy, right? I don't think that's something that, I would even say the majority of folks do. I think most people actually do academic work to be divorced from any kind of feeling, right? There's the separation that people want. And some people get it. Some people get it through their analysis of like, there's a way where activist scholarship, if it's not intentional about everyday people and bringing out those histories, that it could be just like every other academic that's really about me, right? Rather than the we. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
So with the work that you've done, what do you see as your biggest impact on the community? And do you see a change, like when you do your talks and your classes and all that, do you see a change in when you're like educating others?
I mean, I do and I don't. I mean, I think folks have their own journeys and they need to figure out things sometimes on their own. But I would say that, from the talks that I've given, from the presentations, from the public forums, I think there is a shift that's happening. I think there's an important shift around even reconfiguring the borders of Afro-Latinidad, right? And kind of the boundaries of what Afro-Latinidad is or isn't. I spent a lot of time thinking through the borders of the Afro-Latinidad because Garifuna folks reject it. Yeah, so they reject Afro-Latinidad. And it's an important rejection because it's one that reminds them of the trauma of mestizaje, right? Of like the trauma of them being negated by the very nation states that they built. And I think there's something about Latinidad that is mestizaje 2.0. And folks, have to grapple with that. Folks have to deal with that. So, I think there are some shifts happening. I think we need to be shifting a little bit more. But, I think we're finally in a moment where Blackness and Latinidad are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And that's an exciting place to be at.